History time. So I got into the hobby, many of you know this, from a game called HeroClix. One day I was looking on a geek culture website, and there was this thing called HeroClix, and it was War of the Light. It was Sinestro versus Hal Jordan. I was like, this is gorgeous. I've got to see this. At that time, I never played any hobby board games at all, period. None of them, right? I mean, I was a strict Monopoly risk cluer, you know? But then I got into this game, and it opened my eyes to this whole hobby, and now here I am, years later, and I play these awesome games. Well, naturally, when I heard about Crisis Protocol, my mind went, boom, we got to check this out. I love painting. As some of you know, we're doing a series on Board Game Breakfast all about painting. I love miniatures. I love playing those types of games. I do like DC better than Marvel. I know, sue me, right? But at this point, Crisis Protocol came out, and it blew my mind the way it looked. So I thought we definitely have to play that. We've got to get in and play this base game. So today we're taking a look at the base game only, the core set. Now I've got Black Panther and Killmonger sitting over there, but that is not what this review is about. It's about the core set, if the core set is something you should buy into. Let's take a look at what Crisis Protocol is, a little bit longer of a teach because I do go through most everything out of the core set, and we'll come back up and talk final thoughts right now. Alright, so this is Crisis Protocol set up. This is the characters we're going to be using to play on one side versus the characters. You'll see them on the board, but I'm not going to show you every single character's player cards. They will start on the teal side or the blue side, not the red side. The red side is if you get knocked out. But one team in the base box. Again, we're talking about just the base box right now. Consists of Captain Marvel, Captain America, Crossbones, Dr. Octopus, and Iron Man. Now this threat level here will be used when building your own teams later on as you get further and further into the game, progressing deeper in how the game works. But this is unpainted, and it's not anything except what comes in the base game. So we're going to be looking at that and how to play and get the ideas and the basic concepts down right now. A little bit longer of a teach because we're going to go through most of the rules, not exactly everything, but let's just go through the setup first. First, you'll have your team picked out. Now, there's certain rules where you can have an arsenal of people to pick from, and then you pair down to your actual team once the crisis cards get picked. The two crisis cards that we have are Struggle for the Cube and Riot's Spark over Extremists. These are essentially how you're going to score points for the game. So you'll notice the Extremist tokens are out there. They're these 4 kiosks, 1, 2, 3, 4, the tan cell phone looking ones. And this is the Struggle for the Cube. There are pieces of the Cosmic Cube all over that you will be going around collecting, picking up, and putting on your player card. Now, the game deals with some currency called power, and you'll see this on the different types of attacks. First of all, let's go through what a player card looks like. Here's Iron Man. He has a base health of 5. His movement uses a medium tool. First of all, there are short tools, medium tools, and then of course there's obviously a long movement tool that you can get pretty far across the board with. Now you say, why is he not a long one? Well, that's to be seen. I'm sure there's something that we can adjust that with later. He is a level 2 height. That has to do with his size when it comes to items and cars and getting cover and things like that. And again, there's that threat level I mentioned. Here is defenses for physical attack, kind of a more energy attack, and then like a psychic or magic attack over there. So on his turn, you get 4 actions. Now you can activate whoever you want to on your turn that's not been activated yet, but you get 4 actions on your turn. Those are typically things like moving, attacking, using the superpowers down here, or shaking. Shaking is just kind of a quick way to get rid of any negative status effects. So let's just say on our turn we want to move with Iron Man. So currently Iron Man is sitting right here. We would take the movement tool, and just like kind of like X-Wing or Star Wars Legion, you would put the movement tool here, move him to the end of the tool. Now you could adjust this. He can move anywhere within this movement. So let's just say I want to get him right up here on Crossbones, even though Crossbones is on the team. Or actually, we're getting a little closer to Spider-Man now. Now we should be in range 2 of Spider-Man, which you have these nice range rulers for. You can check the range of how close you are. Or we should be in range 3, excuse me. So yeah, we're definitely in range 3 of Spider-Man. Now you look at his attacks here. Repulsor Blast is an energy attack. It has a range of 4, which means you will in fact use this level 4 range ruler here. We're definitely within range of that. You roll 4 dice, that's what the strength means. With the die faces, the critical will add a die to your pool for every critical that you roll. And you get to roll those and see if they add anything else. And they don't continue stacking, it's just a one-time thing, or for when you add criticals. And then you have your attack here. So this is how many power it costs to use it. You don't cost any power for this attack, whereas you'll notice this one costs 2, this is 3, and then the rest of these down here don't cost anything. Things like flight mean that Iron Man can move up to level 5 different items, and their terrain levels of 1, 2 is most everything out here, 3, 4, and you can basically get on top of anything because if you have flight. So you choose to do the attack. It says after this attack is resolved, this character gains power equal to the damage dealt. So depending on how much damage you do, the defender will roll their defense icon. So it's a repulsor blast, so it's an energy attack. So let's just say Spider-Man would roll his 3. He's also looking for success symbols, but he's looking for different ones. He's looking for the shield, the critical, and the swirl of wild. If you roll a skull, it just means that dice cannot be re-rolled through any kind of effect. So that's movement, that's shake and attack and superpower. Superpowers are just different types of attacks listed on here. There are active ones, passive ones, and reactive ones. Reactive ones are things like you can attack somebody back with a counter strike. You can do active ones, which are basically just superpowers that only your character has. Then there are these kind of all-the-time traits that happen down here. When this character would suffer damage, reduce the amount suffered by 1 to a minimum of 1. Now also there are leadership abilities here, which are what these stars are, and you have to have the affiliation Avengers for that. So that's more team building rules, but I mean you can see all the different types of attacks on here. They all work the exact same way, so there's nothing tricky or special about this. In fact, the rules are very streamlined for this game. Spend 5 energy to turn into binary form, where you get extra die for your attacks and things like that. So the point is you're playing to get 16 points or have the most points by the end of 6 rounds. The way that works is during the phases of the game you have the power phase where every single character gains a power. Now in this special scenario, during the power phase, everybody who's holding a cosmic cube fragment will gain an additional power but also take a damage. One other thing to note, when you take damage, when you take damage, it's the amount of successes over the amount of successes the defender has. So however many that is, that's how much damage you deal. You will then gain as much power as you've inflicted if the power says it, but also you always gain that much power if you take the damage. So if you get hit with 3 damage, you gain 3 power. So it's kind of nice how it hulks you up a little bit so you're ready to play. So that's the power phase. You then do the activation phase, is where you do your actions, and the cleanup phase is where you typically will score if you get to someone's health limit. So let's say I get to 5 on Iron Man. You'll put a daze token on him. Now if he's holding stuff, he can't be eligible for scoring or anything like that. So when he's finished with the daze token during the cleanup phase, you'll flip him over to his opposite side. Now usually this is a little bit different on certain stats and things like that, and it gets a little stronger depending on what it is. Potentially. That's not always the case, but he gets a new weapon. He gets a unibeam right there. So as he gets hurt, he gets more stuff. And I think almost everybody's like that. They get a little bit better. Things like this. I can do this all day. So as you get hurt, you get better, which is very much like a comic book. So they nailed the theme on that. But anyway, you're going to power up, and then you're going to clean up, check for points. Also, some things you'll have in your arsenal, you'll have these cards, and these cards are different abilities and things you can do. They have the same symbols of action, reaction. Some of them will add a certain power. So if you have Captain America and Iron Man together, you can do a ricochet blast, which means just like the picture shows there, you ricochet your blast off of Captain America's shield, shoot him. So a couple things to note: there are abilities like throwing. Throwing will typically say you can throw an item up to level 2 in a certain range. So let's just say that Spider-Man has a throw up to level 3. He could then grab this. It will then throw towards an enemy in that range. It will do its damage based on its size level, so that's a 2 plus 1. Then the defender gets to do a dodge roll, which basically, if you don't roll any successes, so that's -1, he'll take 2 damage flat for that because he gets hit by the item. Once an item is hit, it's destroyed. I do love that. I mean, you can just sling these things all across the battlefield. Once they're destroyed, but it really feels like a comic book, picking up dumpsters and picking up cars and slinging them across the way. But I'll be honest with you, that is the majority of the rules of this game. And there are certain things like, different status effects like bleed and all that sort of stuff. But honestly, once you get these character cards in front of you, they are so easy to understand. They've done a really, really, really good job of condensing the basic beginner rules for you in this set. So that is pretty much how to play Crisis Protocol. You're going to keep doing rinse and repeat until someone has the requisite points. Now, these aren't the only objectives. There are others, but that's it. It's a lot of just moving and attacking, but the combat moves quickly. There's not a lot of just downtime. You know, I love that you can hop up on top of places like this. You do have to fully occupy it. You couldn't say, well, I'm standing on the side of this thing here. You have to fully occupy it, and then you get certain bonuses for being on top of things. Not to mention that this just looks really stinking good. I mean, once this is painted up, that's going to look really awesome. That little newsstand like that, the cars that it comes with, the dumpsters that it comes with, all of that is just so cool. This comes in the core box by itself, so really well done. Looking forward to more things, and obviously we have Black Panther and Killmonger over there, as well as some other things that we've got coming that we want to play with. I want to have these painted up, and if you're watching the videos that I do on Board Game Breakfast, make sure to check out the tutorials there for some of these that you'll see. As you notice, these are already Zenithal primed, and we're going to be painting some of these up as well. But that is the majority of how the game plays right there. Now, normally I do with question of the day at the beginning of the videos, but I wanted to kind of save this thought at the end. One of my favorite superhero movies, actually probably my favorite superhero movie just about, is Man of Steel. You say, Brian, what is wrong with you? Have you not seen the MCU? I love the MCU, but here's why I bring this up. Man of Steel is a movie that I went into the theater already excited about. I loved it when I sat there and watched it, and then after the movie, the more I saw things about it, the more I talked about it with other people, the more my love for that movie went up, actually, not down. I love this movie so much more today than I did even the first time I saw it. I just appreciate the notes that Zack Snyder brought to the movie. Anyway, you can argue about that in the comments below. Tell me why I am or are not wrong about that. But the reason I bring that up is when I played Crisis Protocol the first time, I was like, oh, this is good. This is pretty good. And then I started thinking about it more and more and more and delving into the idea, hold on, we just played a miniature game that I taught the other person like that. I love that aspect about Crisis Protocol, that the information you need is on the cards, it's on the player cards. It tells you how to do everything. I mean, there are some background informational steps that you will need to know that one person can teach the other person, but oh my gosh, how refreshing was it to see, okay, hey, here's a range ruler. That's how far you can move. It's just great. I mean, there's not like a whole lot of, well, if this happens, then this happens. All the rules are right there on the player cards, and that simplicity and lack of barrier to entry is going to make this game sell and stay for a long time, in my personal opinion. I really enjoy this now, and I want to play it even more and more and more. I want to get mine all painted. Let's not forget about the quality of the production of this game. The fact that it comes with little plastic buildings, let's say Daily Bugle, the cars, the trash cans, the stoplights, and all that sort of stuff, that is fantastic. That's not something you had to buy extra the first time. You get all of that in there because that is so integral to the game. Now, I will say, in the core box, you do not get any buildings, tall buildings, even though there's rules on how to deal with those. So you are lacking some of the grandeur of this game if you just play it out of the core box, because there are so many more things. So if you have some other buildings that you've built before, or any kind of terrain pieces, use them. It makes it so much richer of a game. Lots of already objectives to use in the core box, but I know more and more is going to keep coming. There are more advanced rules you can take a look at online as well. But my gosh, Crisis Protocol is a big win in the miniatures market for me. I'm going to keep it. It's going to be in the collection for a long time. I'm going to be painting these up. I just love how simple it is to get into this, and it's very forgiving. You also, it doesn't take a lot to hurt each other, right? You can do a lot of damage, but you can also, as soon as you take that damage, you power up and Hulk up, ready to do damage back to them, which makes it feel like a comic book. The fact that there are so many items out there that you can just throw and sling around and hit people with makes it feel like a comic book. It achieves its goal of making it feel like the theme. It's not just generic miniatures that happens to be skinned like Marvel. It really, 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 really feels like it, and I'm excited about Crisis Protocol as going forward. So, production quality, fantastic. Mechanics, so smooth, so easy to get into. Price point, that's one thing, you know, it is a pricier side of game, but it is a hobby game to where once you buy this and paint it up and stuff like that, the value is actually going to increase. So, that is Crisis Protocol. I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Dice Tower Brian. And until next time, we'll see you.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.